Hello viewers, today I'm going to service and repair this Lakewood HV-14. It's not actually, it is a Lakewood HV-14, but the motor, well, I'll get to that later. I think there's some hackery done on this fan, so maybe kind of a mixed model, but the bottom line is it is a Lakewood HV-14C. Unfortunately, there's a lot of rust on the bottom, but these are pretty uncommon fans, so I wasn't going to pass it up just because of that rust. So mechanically speaking, it's in pretty good condition. No unusual noises, bearings are good and everything. So I'm going to start by just removing the rust from the stand to the best of my abilities. So I'm going to try to remove the stand from the fan itself. This may or may not be possible with all the rust on there. What's possible as time is going on here. Okay. As you can see, the stand is missing two of its feet, so I have to create some new feet for it as well. This aside for now. And as you can see, especially on the right side here, this is very heavily coated in rust. So I'm going to strip all that off now. Unfortunately, that process is also going to remove the chrome finish, but at least it won't be deteriorating anymore, even if it doesn't look the greatest. Just so you can see what I'm doing, I have a piece of sandpaper here, relatively fine grade, to try to prevent scratching this as much as possible. And I'm just going to do this. And as you can see, it takes the rust off it. Like I said, it does take off the finish too, but so it's not going to look as good as it would be if it was brand new, but at least it won't be rotting away on me. And I'm not going to film any more of that because, quite frankly, I think it's kind of boring and it'd just be a waste of film. Okay, here's the stand now. It's not perfect, but as you can see, it is definitely a fair bit better. When I have the time, I'll strip it down some more, but for now, that'll do. So, next I gotta fashion new feet for it. Two of the original feet were actually intact. I thought they were all missing, but two of them were intact. But the holes on the cage on the stand have rusted out to the point where they just fall out now. So I gotta do something about that. Alright, cancel the feet operation. I thought I had some grommets, but I didn't, so I have to get some new grommets. For the time being, this will have to just go without feet. Okay, now I'm gonna remove the guard and take the rust off the guard. Okay, that's the front guard complete. Now for the rear guard. Which I think is a fair bit worse. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the blade first, and that's it. I'm just going to remove the blade. Now, usually these are very difficult to get off, but because I believe this has been off at some point, it shouldn't be too bad. It should come off relatively easily. And it did. Okay. So now I will sand this part off, and then I'll explain why I think there was some hackery done in here. Okay, now I'm going to take this outside, blow it out the air compressor, because there's a fair bit of junk in the motor. But what I want to explain here as to why I think there was some hackery done on this at some point. There's a couple of reasons. Number one, you'll notice the Lakewood logo on the motor there is upside down. So that probably would indicate that the motor housing has been off at some point. Secondly, we have a conflicting model number here. This sticker says HV-14C. The motor itself reads something that I've never heard of before, and that is model HVDJ-14. Let's see if I can zoom in on that a little bit more. So that's kind of an oddity. Also, see that the incoming wire is nicely shrink wrapped, which is not something that you typically see from the factory. It would usually be crimped, not shrink tubed. So this is definitely interesting. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and blow this out now. I'm actually going to split the motor too, because it seems like this was wet at some point, and I just want to check and see what the deal is with that. Do this with the proper orientation, that'll help. I'm going to try to avoid pulling this through the bearing. If you can, that's ideal, because sometimes this is rough. In this case it is, and that could cause some scratching. They're not a big deal, but if you can avoid that, better off. This dust was most certainly wet at some point, which is very, very odd. And it's caking on her. I couldn't get it off, so I have to do this this way, which I don't really like doing, but this is an exception here in this case. I wonder if somebody had to replace the thermal fuse in this. This is just really bizarre. I have no doubt that there was some rewiring done in this motor somewhere. In case you're wondering, this is a 1.5 amp motor. Let's just really take this off too. Okay, now see, I see something I don't like here. And this is, you know, the blue wire, I don't know what speed that is pinched underneath the cover there. You'll be able to see it in the video or not. Hopefully you can. Yeah, right there. Look at that. So I have to take this off and pull that through. If that had broken the insulation and there was no grounding on here, that would be a rather unfortunate thing. Hoping this did not go through the... Oh my goodness, it did. Wow. That's funny that, well, it's not funny, it's ironic, because my HV9 had the same problem, except the wire was actually drilled in through this. It was in that hole. It was drilled through there like that. Unbelievable. That's really quite dangerous, especially without grounding on here. I guess that's why we inspect things. So, it's just barely broken through, like 1 or 2 strands is coming through, so I'm just going to tape it. But if that was more serious, I'd have to shrink wrap it. Okay, now I'm going to put the motor back on. Now this does have oil wicking, but it seems pretty wet, so I'm going to leave it be. However, I am going to put some zoom spout in there. Just one drop around the rear bearing there. This is really just to help the thing go in easier initially. We'll oil it again when I'm done. Put this on properly. Okay, looks like the wires are cleared. So now I'll put the screws back on. Now, before I put the cover back on and tighten the screws completely, I'm going to give it a quick test run. It's working at all speeds, so I'll carry on. Now, these screws I like to just make them kind of snug, but not too tight. I do like to follow a diagonal pattern, like if you were putting a tire on or something. I don't think it really matters that much with something like this, but oops, I like to do it anyways. Now, once the bearings are reasonably tight, or yeah, I guess very tight, I take a rubber-handled screwdriver and I just give it a couple taps from side to side, and maybe up and down. Then I do a couple hits on the shaft like that, and that should be pretty well adjusted, or aligned rather. So now I'm going to give it a couple drops of zoom spout here at the front first. Give it some in the back also. And as always, I'm going to let it run for a minute with oil in there. Very loud motor. May have something to do with the fact that it doesn't have any feet. Yeah, I think it does. Okay. That's pretty good. A little bit of excess dripping off the bottom, so I'll go ahead and wipe that off. Check the back. The back is all good. Just to check the spin down time, I'll go ahead and throw the blade on there. And the spin down time is pretty good. Alright, so next I'm going to just wipe the blade off with some damp cloth. Not going to go too crazy with that. And I'll be back after I clean the blade. I want to underscore something about cleaning these blades here. These are kind of interesting in that they have a very flat shape to them. You see, it's like flat, flat, flat. So what I like to do is I like to clean it on the edge of a table, and for each surface of the blade, I lay it flat on the table like this, or like this, or like this. And the reason being is because if it's flat like this, I can press as hard as I want to on this, and I don't have to worry about it bending. So I can get a good clean on here and scrub it as hard as I need to, and it's not going to bend. Blades are coming out pretty clean, actually. That's the old or the dirty blade. See, there's quite a bit of stuff on there. That's the blade I just cleaned. Looks pretty good. I threw some polish on there, but these aren't blades that really shine anyway, so I'm not going to bother doing that, I don't think, for the rest of the blades. Okay, we're on the home stretch here. I did actually end up polishing all the blades. What I'm going to do, is because this thing is such a rust bucket, is I'm going to add some oil onto the screw here for the blade so it doesn't lock up. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some oil on the shaft where the blade slides on. I balanced the blade before I made the video. Hopefully the blade is not out of balance at the moment, and I can just put it on and proceed, but we'll see. I had to drop oil on here so I can get it off again. Wipe it off close to the motor because you don't want stuff to be sticking on there. You just want it at the end of the motor, which is where it is now. And then slide the blade on. Okay. Now I'll put the front guard on, and we got to make a repair on the front guard also. I'm going to clean this up first because it's driving me up the wall. Okay, now for the guard, I'm going to put this on here. Actually, no, I'm going to clean it first because there's a little bit of junk on there. Okay, let's try that again. Put the guard on here and these two rusted screws go at the bottom. These screws may eventually have to be replaced. Just made a pretty dopey discovery. I've been looking for this sandpaper all afternoon. And where is it? None other than sitting right there in that white basket. Right there. There. But whatever. Let's finish putting the guard on. That's why the video doesn't look good. The light was on. That's better. Okay. Now, what's happened to the guard, at least we repaired, is this hole up here has stripped out. I'm not sure because somebody over tightened it or because it's rusted or what, but it's not working. Fortunately, the way this is designed, that's remarkably easy to fix. So, let me get these last screws in here. I will show you how I'm going to fix that. Let's do a zoom in here. Whoops. Oops, to tighten the thing here. Okay, so that hole right there is the hole that's stripped out. And what I'm going to do is this very easy fix. I'm going to screw this in here. Well, they say it's screwed in, but it's not going to hold. And all I'm going to do is put this washer on the, or it's not a washer, it's a bolt on the back here. And I'm going to let the screw go into the bolt instead of the hole that's already there. It's supposed to hold it because it's not working. Okay, now that's on there. So that's fixed. Now I'll go ahead and tighten the rest of the screws. Okay, and there it is all back together. Looks a fair bit better than it did when I got it. It's still not perfect, but what do you expect with all the rust? The only thing that has to be fixed still is the plug. Missing the grounding pin, and that's kind of important for an all-metal fan, so I'll have to get that fixed at a later time because I don't have any more grounded plugs. So let's go ahead and give this a test run. Start it off on low. Runs very smooth, no vibrations or anything. Moves a ton of air. Medium. And lastly, high. Spin down. Fantastic. Well, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave a comment if you have one. Out.